88,000 of you watched me kill rust with $3 of black tea. That video is still the most commented thing I have put out. And the comment that kept coming back over and over was some version of the same thing. People saying they had oak trees in their yard, saying they had been stepping over acorns every fall without knowing what was in them. One comment stopped me completely. A woman named Patricia Holloway wrote in about her grandfather. He was infantry in France in 1944. She said he carried black tea bags in his field kit, not to drink, to treat rust on his rifle when he was too far from supply lines for proper maintenance. He learned it from a French farmer who had been doing it with oak bark for 30 years. Patricia said her grandfather came home and never bought a rust remover in his life. He used what was growing in the yard until he died at 87. Patricia sent me a photograph of the oak tree in his backyard in rural Tennessee, still standing, covered in galls every fall. The same tree that kept his rifles clean for 40 years after the war. He never knew the chemistry of what he was doing. He knew the French farmer said it worked, and he knew his rifle agreed. The chemistry is simple enough once you see it. Oak galls and acorn shells and black walnut hulls all contain tannins, the same class of compound that makes red wine dry on your tongue and makes black tea leave a film on the inside of your mug. That astringent quality is the tannin binding to protein and to metal. When tannin contacts ferric oxide, it drives a chemical conversion. The red, crumbling rust becomes iron tannate, a stable dark compound that is bonded to the metal not sitting on top of it. That is why the rust stops spreading after treatment. It has been converted into something that protects the surface instead of destroying it. That comment is why I am standing here today, because the $3 solution was never the point. The compound was the point: tannic acid. And tannic acid does not cost $3. It does not cost anything. It grows in your backyard right now if you have the right trees. I want to be specific about which trees before anything else, because this is where the details matter. Oak galls are the most concentrated natural source of tannic acid available. They are the small round growths that appear on oak branches when a wasp lays eggs in the bark. The tree responds by forming a protective casing, and that casing is packed with tannins. English oak and common oak varieties produce galls with tannic acid concentration, high enough to work on rifle rust. Acorns from the same oak varieties contain tannins in the cap and the outer shell. Black walnuts carry tannic acid in the outer green hull. All three sources work. One important note about white oak specifically. White oak has a different tannin profile that can create a corrosive reaction on some steel. Stay with English oak, acorns, black walnut hulls, or oak galls you can identify clearly. Before I show you how to prepare the solution, I want to point you somewhere. Everything in this video, including the full source guide, safe species identification, and the complete application protocol, is inside the Hunter's Vault. Scan the QR code showing in the top left of your screen right now, or find the link in the description below and get the full documented guide in there. Now, let me show you what the preparation actually looks like. You do not need equipment. You need a mason jar, distilled water, and whatever you collected from the yard. For oak galls, crush 3 or 4 of them roughly with the back of a knife. Drop them into a jar and cover with distilled water. Let them steep for 24 to 48 hours at room temperature. The water will turn dark brown as the tannic acid leaches out of the gall material. That brown liquid is your rust treatment. Acorns follow the same process. Crush the caps and outer shells, remove the inner nut, which you do not need. Steep in distilled water, the same way black walnut hulls from the green outer casing work identically. The liquid comes out darker than oak sources because black walnuts carry a higher tannin load. All three solutions do the same thing to rust that black tea does in the original video. They convert ferric oxide, which is the red crumbling rust you want to eliminate, into iron tannate, which is a stable black compound that bonds to the metal surface. The iron tannate layer does not flake, it does not spread, it does not continue corroding. It becomes a stable protective surface that seals the underlying metal. One more thing before the comparison. This treatment only works where rust is already present. On bare, clean steel, the tannin has nothing to react with. It will leave a faint stain, but it will not create the iron tannate conversion layer. So this is a rust treatment, not a rust prevention coating. If you want to use it preventively, you need surface rust to already be starting, or you can use ferric chloride first on carbon steel to create the iron oxide layer, then treat with the tannic solution to convert it. That is the advanced method. Gunsmithing shops have used ferric chloride plus tannin for controlled browning on barrels for over a century. Patricia's grandfather was not doing advanced chemistry. He was treating existing rust in the field with what he had in his pocket. And it worked. Coming up, I apply all three solutions side by side on identical rust samples and compare the result to the original black tea method from the first video. I set up 3 rust samples on the bench before filming. Each one was a steel plate I had left outside for 2 weeks in wet weather. Same size, same steel, same rust coverage. One got treated with the original black tea solution from the first video. One got treated with the oak gall steep. One got treated with the black walnut hull solution. I applied each one the same way. Saturate a clean rag or cotton pad with the solution. Apply to the rusted surface and work it in with light pressure. Let it sit for 15 minutes, then apply a second coat. Let that sit for another 30 minutes without wiping. Then inspect the surface under a direct light. All 3 treatments produced visible conversion within the first 15 minutes. The rust surface shifted from the red-orange crumbling texture to a darker matte appearance. The color change is the iron tannate forming on the surface. The black tea treatment performed exactly as it did in the original video. Solid conversion across the treatment area with some residual rust in the deeper pits. The oak gall solution produced a faster initial color change. The concentration of tannic acid in oak galls is significantly higher than in black tea. That higher concentration drives the conversion reaction faster. By the 30-minute mark, the oak gall treated plate was uniformly dark matte. The deep pits had converted, where the black tea plate still showed orange at the lowest points. The black walnut solution matched the oak gall result almost exactly. Slightly darker surface color because of the additional compounds in black walnut hull extract. But functionally the same conversion depth and coverage. All 3 solutions work. The backyard sources outperform the grocery store source when prepared correctly. That is the honest comparison. I also ran a concentration comparison between the 3 sources and black tea. I used a simple test strip that measures tannin content in solution. Black tea brewed for 5 minutes. Came in at the low end of the range. Acorn shell. Steep ran about twice the concentration of the black tea. Oak gall. Steep ran 4 to 5 times the concentration of the black tea. Black walnut hull steep came in just below the oak gall at 3 to 4 times. Higher concentration does not automatically mean better result on the metal. The conversion reaction reaches a point where additional tannin does not accelerate it further, but it does mean you can use a more diluted solution from the backyard sources and still hit the effective threshold for full rust conversion, meaning a handful of crushed acorn caps in a jar of water is enough to treat a full rifle with material left over. You're not measuring grams and milliliters, you're crushing what you collected and steeping it until the water turns dark. That is the entire preparation. Now let me talk about what happens after the conversion. Once the iron tannate layer has formed, you need to protect it. Iron tannate is stable, but it is not impervious. A coat of oil over the treated surface seals the conversion layer and keeps moisture out. Mineral oil from the pharmacy works here. Any gun oil works here. Even a thin coat of the linseed oil from the stock finishing video. The treated surface under oil protection will hold for a full season in storage. If the rifle goes back into regular use, the iron tannate may wear through at contact points. That is normal. Those points get retreated at the next cleaning. It is not a one-time permanent solution. It is a maintenance practice that costs nothing and takes 15 minutes, compared to sanding down to bare metal and rebluing, which costs time and money. The tannin treatment is the practical option for a hunter who wants to stop rust progression without taking the rifle out of service. If you collected oak galls, specifically, store the dried ones in a paper bag. They keep for years without losing their tannic acid content. You can collect a season's worth in an afternoon in the fall. Crush them as needed and steep a fresh batch before each use. The solution itself keeps for a few weeks in a sealed jar in a cool place. After that, the tannic acid starts to break down and the solution loses strength. Mix fresh every few weeks. If you are doing regular maintenance work, I want to come back to Patricia Holloway's grandfather for a moment. He did not know about iron tannate. He did not know about ferric oxide conversion chemistry. He knew that the tea worked and that the oak tree in the yard worked better. That knowledge passed from a French farmer to an American soldier in 1944. It sat in a Tennessee backyard for 40 years, while the rust remover industry grew around it. You do not need to buy what grows for free. Everything documented in this video, including source identification, preparation ratios, and the full comparison data from the original rust video is inside the Hunter's Vault. Scan the QR code showing in the top left of the screen right now, or hit the link in the description below. If you have oak trees in your yard, you already have everything you need. Go collect it right now while you are watching. And before you close out, hit subscribe, because next week we are taking this outside the shop and testing it on a rifle that has been sitting in a barn for 8 years.